All right, welcome to another deep dive. This one's going deep on Think and Grow Rich, a classic for a reason, this book by Napoleon Hill.
It really is a classic.
And then for so long.
For decades, people have been turning to it. And, the core idea really sticks with you.
Yeah.
It says that your thoughts, if you mix those with desire, persistence, and a plan, well, those can become riches.
Riches of all kinds, yeah.
Exactly. We're not just talking money here. Could it be success in, well, any area of life, right?
Absolutely. And that's why this book is so interesting. It's not just a light read, it's more like a guide, a blueprint.
A blueprint. I like that.
Yeah. And actually, Dr. Miller Reese Hutchison, you know him, worked with Edison. He said Think and Grow Rich shouldn't be treated like a novel. You shouldn't just read it for fun. You got to study it. Like it's a textbook.
A textbook for success. Okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
But is there any proof this stuff works? Well, John R. Turner, he was a dean at a college in New York. He pointed out that Hill's own son, he was born with a disability. And he went on to overcome a lot using these principles from Think and Grow Rich.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. So let's get into it. What's the core concept, like the foundation of this whole book?
Well, Hill spent 25 years researching this. Analyzed something like 25,000 people to figure out what the common thread was, among folks who get wealthy. And what he found is that it's often not about hard labor. It's about mindset. It all starts with a state of mind, a definite purpose.
So it's all about your mindset. Okay, but how does that actually get you results?
Well, think about the Great Depression. Back then, people were terrified. And their money situation, it mirrored that fear.
Right.
But when they shifted their mindset, from fear to faith, things started to improve.
So you got to believe in yourself and your ability to get where you want to go, even when things are tough.
Exactly. And a great example of this is in the book, Edwin Barnes. He had this burning desire to work with Thomas Edison, not just for him.
Wait, so he wanted to be Edison's partner? That's pretty ambitious.
It was. And most people would have given up. I mean, he had all kinds of obstacles in his way. He didn't even have the money to travel to meet Edison.
So what'd he do?
He hopped on a freight train.
Wow. No kidding. Talk about commitment.
Yeah. Blind baggage, they called it. But that unwavering desire, that willingness to do whatever it took, it led him to become Edison's partner.
Okay, I love that story. That's seriously inspiring, but I'm not sure I'll be hopping on any freight trains anytime soon. What are some more practical steps, for regular people like me?
Well, that's where Hill's 6 steps come in. These are things you can start doing today to, get closer to those dreams.
Okay, lay it on me. What's step number 1?
Step 1 is to write down and be specific about how much money you want. Might sound simple, but putting it down on paper makes it real, tangible.
Oh, interesting. Like making a declaration to the universe.
Yeah, sort of like that. And then step 2 is all about recognizing that wealth is earned. You got to figure out what you'll give in return for that money.
So it's not just wishing for money. It's about what can you offer to get that wealth.
Exactly. Think about your skills, what you're passionate about, what can you offer that people would actually pay for.
It's all about finding that sweet spot where your talents meet the needs of other people. Okay, I'm with you. What's next?
Step 3. Setting a deadline. When do you want this?
Oh, I like that. So you got to hold yourself accountable.
You got it. It forces you to think about what you need to be doing each day to get to your goal. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Step 4 is about action. Got to create a plan and start working on it today.
So no more procrastinating.
No more. Even a small step is good.
Yeah.
The important thing is you're moving towards your goal.
Got it.
You have to believe that action is what connects those dreams to reality. But steps 5 and 6, those are where the magic happens. They work together.
Okay, now I'm really curious. Tell me.
So step 5 is to write down a clear statement about your desire and your plan. And then step 6 is to read that statement out loud every morning and every night. Visualize it and really believe it.
So it's kind of like you're programming your mind, right? With repetition and visualization.
Yeah, exactly. Hill believed that, when you constantly remind yourself about your goal and visualize it, you create this powerful image in your mind that fuels you. It fuels your actions.
I can see that. It's almost like self-hypnosis. But are there any real examples of people who have used these steps to become successful?
Oh, absolutely. Andrew Carnegie, he was a steel magnate worth over $100 million. He used these steps. He really believed in them.
Wow. Okay, so if it worked for Andrew Carnegie, maybe it can work for us too.
And it's not just about money. Thomas Edison, one of the greatest inventors ever, he said these steps work for any goal you set your mind to.
That's amazing. So we've got this blueprint for success, and it's backed up by some of the most successful people ever. So where do we go from here?
Now, let's talk about one of the most important and often misunderstood parts of this, faith and auto-suggestion.
Okay, that sounds really interesting. I'm ready. Okay, faith and auto-suggestion. Those sound, I don't know, kind of intense. What do they even mean, like, practically speaking?
So Napoleon Hill believed that faith, it's not something you're born with. It's something you can actually, build. And one way to develop faith is through this thing called auto-suggestion.
Auto-suggestion. Is that like self-hypnosis or something?
You're getting closer. It's like repeating what you want, even if it doesn't feel true at first. And by doing that over and over, you start to convince your mind that it is possible. And then that turns into faith.
So it's like you're talking yourself into believing something.
Pretty much. It can be really powerful. Hill even talks about Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi, he didn't have traditional power or anything, but he got a huge following just through his faith, his belief in his mission.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty convincing. So faith and auto-suggestion can help you and even inspire other people. But what about teamwork? Didn't Hill talk a lot about that?
He did. He has a whole chapter on the mastermind. The idea is that you got to surround yourself with people who are on the same page, who will support you and challenge you. That's key for success.
So like finding your tribe, people who get your vision.
Exactly. And a great example of this is Charles M. Schwab, the guy behind U.S. Steel.
Oh, yeah. He was a pretty amazing leader, wasn't he?
He was. And his story shows how a good idea, plus faith, a solid plan, persistence, action, and desire, all of that can lead to huge results. I mean, Schwab had this idea for U.S. Steel, and it turned into $1 billion company.
Whoa. That's insane. But what was so special about Schwab? What made him so successful?
Well, he could inspire people, and he knew how to collaborate. He brought together these huge financial guys like J.P. Morgan and got them to buy into his vision.
So he was a master networker.
He was. But more importantly, he understood how to cooperate. He didn't get greedy or let his ego get in the way. He focused on building a strong team, people who could work together to achieve something big.
It sounds like his leadership style was way ahead of its time.
It really was. He revolutionized the steel industry, not just with his ideas, but with how he led. He showed that cooperation and working for the greater good, that can lead to incredible success.
That's a great lesson. No matter what you're trying to do, teamwork can really make a difference.
Definitely. Now, switching gears a bit, let's talk about something that's super relevant today. Marketing yourself. Hill called it the effective marketing of personal services. He thought it was a crucial skill for anyone who wants to succeed.
Okay, personal branding, marketing, that's definitely important these days. What did Hill say about it?
He came up with what he called the QQS formula.
QQS, what's that stand for?
Quality, quantity, and spirit.
Okay, break that down for me.
So the quality of your work, that matters, of course. But you also got to be productive. The quantity of your output, that matters too.
So high quality work and lots of it. What about spirit? Where does that fit in?
That's the key ingredient. Spirit is all about your attitude, your energy. It's about being passionate, excited, and genuinely wanting to serve others.
So basically, having a good attitude and putting your heart into your work.
Exactly. And Andrew Carnegie, he loved this QQS formula. He actually thought that being a good person, having harmonious conduct, that was even more important than the quality or quantity of your work. He knew that a positive environment was key for success.
That makes sense. A positive environment can really help people do their best work.
Totally. And if you think about it, it applies to so much today, like railroads, streetcars, banking. They've all had to change how they do things because customers expect more. They got to focus on service, treating the customer right.
It's all about the customer experience now, right?
Yep. The businesses and individuals who focus on serving people well, they're the ones who succeed.
Okay, I'm with you. So we've got the QQS formula down: quality, quantity, and spirit. But what about when things go wrong? Everyone makes mistakes. What does Hill say about failure?
Oh, he talks about it a lot. He actually lists 30 major causes of failure. But his point is that you got to learn from your mistakes. He even says that failure can be a good thing. It can lead to something better.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Failure as an opportunity.
Right. And we won't go through all 30 causes, but let's touch on a few that might be relevant to, the listener.
Oh, okay. Hit me with some wisdom.
One of the biggest causes of failure is not having a clear purpose. If you don't know what you want to achieve, you're just drifting.
It's like trying to get through a maze without a map.
Exactly. Another big one is lack of self-discipline. If you can't control your impulses and stay focused, it's hard to get anywhere.
Self-discipline is tough.
It is, but it's like a muscle.
Yeah.
The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then, of course, there's procrastination. Putting things off will only hold you back.
Procrastination. We all struggle with that.
We do. But you got to recognize it for what it is. It's usually just fear disguised as something else.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Hill also talks about the importance of having the right people around you. The wrong partners, whether in business or in life, can really mess things up.
It's true. You know that saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with? Your company matters.
It really does. And lastly, he warns against being too cautious, too afraid to take risks. It's good to be smart, but playing it too safe can cause you to miss out on opportunities.
So it's all about finding that balance between being careful and being too afraid to go for it.
Exactly. Hill wants you to step outside of your comfort zone. Take some calculated risks. You never know what might happen.
That's great advice. But even if you're taking risks, there are going to be setbacks. How do you stay motivated when things get tough?
That's where persistence comes in. And there's no better example of this than Muhammad.
We talked about him a bit earlier, but tell me more about how his story connects to persistence.
So Muhammad, he faced a lot of opposition when he was first starting out with Islam. People ridiculed him, he was banished, he was poor, but he never gave up on his beliefs.
And in the end, Islam became a major world religion. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. It shows what belief and commitment can do.
Exactly. And, looking at the bigger picture, it shows that even when things seem impossible, persistence can lead to amazing things. And this isn't just about religion. It's about anything you want to achieve in life, including financial success.
Okay, but how do you actually become more persistent? It's easy to say, but actually doing it is hard.
Hill has these 4 steps that can help you make persistence a habit.
Okay, I'm listening. What are they?
The first one is having a definite purpose, something you really deeply want. That desire, that's what keeps you going when things are difficult.
So it's about passion. That's your fuel.
Exactly. And step 2 is to make a plan and then act on it. Don't just think about it, do something, even if it's a small step.
So taking action makes you want to take more action.
Yeah, that's the idea. And step 3, this is super important, is to block out negativity from other people, but also from yourself.
So you're basically protecting your mind from doubt and fear.
Exactly. And finally, step 4 is to build a support system. Find your mastermind group, people who believe in you, who will encourage you and keep you accountable.
So having a good support system can really help you stay on track.
For sure. He'll believe that the people around you can make a huge difference when it comes to staying persistent.
All this talk about persistence and achieving your goals, it makes me think about something else Hill emphasizes. Specialized knowledge.
Oh, good point. He believed that to be truly successful, you need to become an expert in something specific that aligns with your goals.
So what exactly does he mean by specialized knowledge?
He's talking about becoming a real pro in a specific area, not just knowing a little bit about a lot of things, but really diving deep into one thing, so you can solve problems and offer real value in that area.
So instead of being a jack of all trades, become a master of one.
Exactly. Hill says that a broad understanding is helpful, but real success comes from focusing your energy and becoming an expert in a specific niche.
That makes sense. But how do you go about getting that kind of specialized knowledge? Where do you even start?
Well, Hill talks about 3 main sources of knowledge that can help you.
All right, tell me more. I'm taking notes.
First, he talks about infinite intelligence. Now, before you think this is getting too woo-woo, remember that Hill was a spiritual guy, but he wasn't talking about any specific religion.
So what did he mean by infinite intelligence?
He believed that there's this universal source of wisdom and knowledge that we can tap into through our imagination and deep thinking. He thought this was how we could access ideas and solutions that go beyond our normal understanding.
So it's about, reaching a higher level of consciousness to get inspiration and insights.
You could say that. It's about being open to knowledge that goes beyond our limited human perspective.
Okay, that's the first source. What's the second?
The second source is what he calls accumulated experience. Basically, all the knowledge that humans have collected over centuries. A lot of that is in libraries, schools, universities, all that stuff.
So we can learn from the past, from other people's successes and failures.
Exactly. And the third source is experiment and research. This is about being curious, experimenting, observing, investigating, always trying to learn more.
So it's like a scientific approach to learning, always testing and improving your knowledge.
You got it. Hill believed that by experimenting and researching, you not only learn new things, but also get a much deeper understanding of whatever you're studying.
Go ahead. This is all great, but how do you actually use all this knowledge? How do you turn it into results?
That's where organized planning comes in. It's how you connect knowledge to action.
So you're saying that knowledge is useless if you don't have a plan for using it.
Exactly. Hill said that knowledge without a plan is like a car without an engine. It's not going anywhere.
So how do you create a good plan?
Hill has this 6-step process for organized planning. We touched on it earlier, but let's dive in a bit deeper.
Okay, remind me. What are the steps?
First, build your mastermind alliance. Find a group of people who can support you, who have expertise, and who can offer different points of view.
So teamwork is important for planning too.
It is. Hill believed that nobody achieves great things alone. It's about finding people who complement your skills and working together toward a shared goal.
Makes sense. Okay, what's step 2?
Step 2 is to be crystal clear about what you want and what you're willing to give to get it. It's about having a vision and knowing that success takes effort.
So no pain, no gain. Got to give something to get something.
Right. It's about setting realistic expectations and being willing to put in the work.
What's next?
Step 3 is to set a deadline. When do you want to achieve this goal? This creates a sense of urgency.
So it's like you got to hold yourself accountable.
You got it.
Yeah.
Setting a deadline forces you to take action and avoid putting things off.
I can see how these steps build on each other. What's step 4?
Step 4 is to actually create a detailed plan and start working on it today. Don't wait.
So you got to take that first step.
Exactly. Hill was all about action. That's what makes dreams a reality.
Okay, what about the last 2 steps?
They're about staying committed to your goal. Write down your desire and your plan, and then read it out loud every morning and night. Visualize it. Believe it.
It's like you're programming your subconscious, right?
Exactly. Hill said that when you constantly remind yourself of your goal and visualize it, you create this powerful mental image that drives you to take action.
This is all great stuff, but let's be real, there are always going to be obstacles and setbacks. How do you stay motivated even when things get tough?
That's where the power of persistence comes in, and there's no better example of this than Muhammad.
We talked about his story before, but tell me more about how Hill connected that to persistence.
Well, Muhammad, when he was first starting out spreading the word about Islam, he faced a lot of opposition, ridicule, being banished, poverty, you name it. But he never wavered in his beliefs.
And despite all that, Islam thrived, didn't it? Became one of the world's major religions. It's really a powerful testament to what belief and persistence can do.
It really is. And, if we zoom out and look at the bigger picture here, it shows us that even when things seem impossible, if you just keep going, you can achieve incredible things. This applies to anything, not just religion. Financial success, you name it.
That's true. Okay, so how can we become more persistent? It's easy to say, but it's a lot harder to do.
Hill actually breaks it down into 4 pretty simple steps. They might sound simple, but they can really help you make persistence a habit.
All right, I'm all ears. What are the 4 steps?
The first one is to have a really clear purpose. And it has to be something you're truly passionate about, something you deeply desire. That desire, that's the fuel that keeps you going when things get tough.
So it's about having a vision and being passionate about it. That passion helps you push through those tough times.
Exactly. And then step 2 is to come up with a solid plan, and then, most importantly, act on it. Don't just think about it, do it. Take action, even if it's a small step.
So you're saying action leads to more action. The more you do, the more motivated you'll feel.
Yep. And at step 3 is to block out any negative influences. This could be negativity from other people, but it's also really important to watch out for negativity from yourself.
So you're saying we need to protect our minds from those doubts and fears, cultivate a more resilient and positive mindset.
Yes. And finally, the last step is to build a supportive network. That's your mastermind group, right? Surround yourself with people who believe in you, people who will encourage you and keep you accountable.
I think we can all use more of that. Having supportive people around you can definitely make a big difference.
It really can. Hill really emphasized that. He believed the people you surround yourself with have a huge impact on your ability to stay persistent.
All this talk about achieving goals and persistence, it reminds me of something else Hill talks about: fear. Even with the best plans, fear can really get in our way.
That's so true. Hill knew that fear can be a huge obstacle. It can stop us from reaching our potential. He even dedicated a whole chapter to the 6 basic fears that he believed were at the root of most of our anxieties and worries.
6 basic fears. Wow, okay. What are they? And how do they affect our lives?
He listed them in order of how common they are, starting with the fear of poverty. He considered that the most damaging of the 6 fears. He said it can paralyze us, stop us from thinking clearly, and crush our creativity, initiative, and even our self-confidence.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's hard to focus on anything else, let alone pursue big goals, if you're constantly stressed about money.
Exactly. And he said this fear often leads to indecision, doubt, and just constant worry. It becomes a vicious cycle that traps people in a mindset of scarcity.
So how do you break free from that cycle? How do you get over the fear of poverty?
Hill thought the key was changing your mindset. Instead of focusing on what you lack, start focusing on abundance, recognizing that there's plenty of wealth and opportunity in the world.
That's a pretty big shift in thinking, but how do you actually do that?
Well, you got to start by becoming aware of your own thoughts and beliefs about money. Are you focused on what you don't have? Or are you open to the possibility of having more?
That's a really good question to ask yourself. It's about being honest about your internal dialogue and then challenging any limiting beliefs that might be holding you back.
Exactly. And once you start changing your thinking, you can start taking action. Hill believed in setting clear financial goals, having a plan to reach them, and then taking consistent steps to make it happen.
So it's a combination of having the right mindset and then actually taking practical steps to create financial security.
Yes. It's about taking charge of your finances instead of letting fear control you.
Okay, that's the fear of poverty.
Right.
What about the fear of criticism? How does that one hold us back?
Hill noticed that the fear of criticism can prevent us from fully expressing ourselves. It stops us from sharing our ideas and pursuing what we really want. It makes us play it too safe and avoid taking risks.
It's natural to want to be liked and accepted. We don't want people to judge us or make fun of us. But how do we get past that fear and put ourselves out there?
Hill believed that it was important to remember that criticism is often subjective. What one person criticizes, another person might love.
So don't take it personally. Understand that it's often more about the person giving the criticism than it is about you.
Right. And it's also important to build a strong sense of self-worth. Believe in your own ideas and contributions.
That makes sense. If you believe in yourself and your abilities, you're less likely to be swayed by other people's opinions.
Exactly. And remember, even the most successful people face criticism. It's just part of the journey. The key is to learn from the feedback that's helpful and to ignore the negativity that doesn't serve you.
That's good advice. Okay, let's move on to the fear of ill health. This one's a big one for a lot of people, especially as we get older. How does Hill address this fear?
He thought the fear of ill health could be just as bad as actually being sick. It can lead to stress, anxiety, and even hypochondria. He said that while it's good to take care of our physical health, we shouldn't let fear take over.
So it's all about finding that balance, taking care of yourself without letting fear run your life.
Exactly. He was a big believer in a holistic approach to health, positive thinking, healthy habits, managing stress. He thought a positive mindset could actually make you physically healthier.
What about the fear of losing love, that fear of being alone, of rejection? It's a pretty basic human fear.
Yeah, he'll recognize that. He said the fear of losing love can make people clingy and jealous, and it can really damage your self-confidence in relationships. He thought the key was to develop self-love and understand that true love is based on mutual respect and trust.
So knowing that you deserve love and building a relationship on a foundation of self-acceptance.
You got it. It's about building your own self-worth and attracting love, not being afraid of losing it.
Okay, the fear of old age. A lot of people worry about that. Declining health, losing independence, not feeling relevant anymore.
He'll acknowledge that aging can be difficult, but he also believed that it could be a time of great fulfillment and wisdom. He encouraged people to think positively about aging, to stay active both physically and mentally, and to keep pursuing those things that bring them joy.
So instead of fearing it, we can embrace aging and see it as a time for growth and new opportunities.
Exactly. Change your perspective from fear to possibility.
And lastly, the fear of death. Probably the most universal fear we all share. The fear of the unknown, of the end of our existence.
Hill thought this fear often comes from not really understanding who we are. He argued that we're not just physical beings, but also spiritual beings, and that death isn't the end. It's more of a transition to something else.
So embracing spirituality and the belief that there's something more beyond our physical bodies can help us deal with that fear.
That's what Hill believed. He thought that a strong spiritual foundation can help us overcome the fear of death and live with more purpose and meaning.
His exploration of these 6 basic fears is really insightful. It's a good reminder that fear is often something we create in our own minds. It's a product of our thoughts and beliefs. And if we can understand where these fears come from, we can start to break free from them and live more courageously.
That's what's so great about Think and Grow Rich. It's not just about money. It's about living a more empowered and fulfilling life.
Absolutely. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into this amazing book, what's the one key takeaway you want listeners to remember?
Hill's core message is simple. You have the power to create the life you want. Your thoughts are powerful. Align your thoughts with your desires. Take consistent action, and you can achieve anything.
It's about taking control of your life and not letting fear or those limiting beliefs stop you. You are the architect of your own destiny.
Exactly. Think and Grow Rich is a call to action. It's an invitation to step into your power and create a life of abundance, purpose, and fulfillment.
That's a great way to put it. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Think and Grow Rich. We hope you found it helpful and inspiring. Keep thinking, keep growing, and keep reaching for those dreams. We'll see you next time.